a little tiny addition off the one building right here. And this is like 314 square feet for the addition. All right, so I mean, we have some limits when you go over a certain size. This is well under those thresholds. There's no new impervious, no new nothing.
Entryway to a building or something?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they're doing with it, because he gave me a rendering, because at first it was like 500, I thought he said 5,000 square feet. And I was like, yeah, you better let me go into this land for 5,000, then he said 500. And this little duck out right here. And this is where the drop hammer is, so I don't know whether they just need room I'm not really exactly sure, to be honest with you, because it doesn't make much sense.
Well, they just file for a building permit.
Well, that's what he's gonna do.
Building permit, that's a building permit.
All right, well, that was my interpretation.
Yeah, meets it or doesn't,
Yeah, that's what my interpretation, but again,
Is that coming out toward the road or going to the side? I'm not,
it's coming out towards the road, it'll be right alongside that little one right there.
I think there's a trash, they have a trash thing up in here somewhere.
Right now, sure, it doesn't really show it on his site plan. But that literally, I mean, you can see all these, this is the one big existing building, the building here, this is the building here, and that's just where it will be. But I said, you know what, they were not sure, and I said, don't drive all the way up on Latham, I'm gonna be there tonight, and I'll on some other issues, so I'll just review that with them. And that's just over there. As far as the projects on our end, on the first one, I guess, because I don't want to show you on that one, and that's the Fountain Flats Business Park on the old Fernley property on that. Seeker's been started. There will be a scoping document. I think the lead agency letters have already gone out on that. Everybody signed off on it being lead agency on that. There will probably not be a public scoping section, but will be a scoping document that will go around, and that should be distributed here very shortly. We've done all the wetland delineation, we've done all the archaeology, and for once, believe it or not, we have a very small percentage of wetlands on the property, and we only have 2 little teeny tiny archaeology spots. One of them clearly is right out in the middle of the fields. No wetlands around it, nothing, so clearly we're gonna have to do a phase 3 on that, or a data recovery plan and impact that one. Part of it, the idea depends on moving forward on the secret process, and the generic environmental impact statement like we've done with the other 2 business parks to try to advance that 100-acre piece being shovel ready. Initially, we had hoped, just
Slow down.
anytime.
Okay. This is going to be a housing project, correct?
Housing will be one component of it.
And what's the majority?
There'll be a number of alternatives looked at in the secret like we've
But
done.
not a retail space.
Possibly. It's zoned for it. It's zoned for mixed use in there.
The way I read it in the paper, it was senior worker apartments.
Right.
That
That would be one component. That would be roughly that's 6.25 acres out of 100. To give you an idea.
How many units are we talking? 72.
72 or so. I have
72 or 77?
It's under 75. It's somewhere 74, 73, somewhere in that neighborhood. In there. I don't remember that.
And the way I read it in the paper, who's developing this?
This is a company that it's Ken Kearney Real Estate.
They've done this before.
They've done a number of these before, and Alex and Sandy went down and took a look at a couple of these. They do some pretty high-end work.
They got the one down the Red Hook?
That's the brand new one they just did.
They built a very nice one down there.
They wanted to Red Hook, they don't want to.
Is it not subsidized, huh?
It is not subsidized. Where his subsidy will come in is on some tax breaks that he'll get up front. It will not be voucher type housing
Not like Pepper Tree?
No, not like Pepper Tree. In China, what they're trying to do is promote, they're looking for people, and don't hold me to the exact numbers on this, because again, I do the environmentals, I don't pay a lot of attention to these details. These will have to be for like the family housing. You're looking at people that gotta be making $35,000, $40,000 salaries, okay? And as you well know, you're not gonna go buy a house around here if you're making $35,000 or $40,000 salary. And you don't have a whole lot of choice for apartments other than going to, you're really not in the Aaron's price range, unless you want to live in Mansion Square or you want to live in Pepper Tree, and I think, that's not the kind of housing we want to try to bring in here. So it is definitely not your Section 8 housing. It is not Section 8 housing.
What's the impact on the school district of the age limit?
On some of the units, yes. The senior units, which is about a third of the units, will be strictly, you only need one bedroom apartments for one thing, so he limits them that way. with the other apartments, and that'll all be looked at in the secret document. I don't know what the number of a handful of kids, something like that, the early estimates are on it, so.
So moving forward, there will be more data as we go.
It'll be the whole secret document put together, the whole environmental impact statement, everything else will be put together, just like it would for any other project. And then what we'll do, Bill, just like we've done the other projects, the only reason we've been pretty successful in trying to bring some people here is that if we waited every time, if we went in on a piece of property, said, well, today we got a bite on a Walmart, and we went through like a 1.5-year process, the Walmart didn't happen, and then next week, it's Rite Aid, and now we start all over in 1.5 years. So by doing, and so we're gonna work very hard to try to do what the intent was with the mixed use in there, which was trying to get some places where you could work, some places where you could live, and some places where you could shop, with none of them being overly dominant, especially on the housing end. We are sensitive to it, but every study, even our own comprehensive plan, as Frank knows, and somebody that participated in that, we spent a lot of time with River Street Planning on the housing issue, and, our housing stock here is problematic for that honest working people that have a job and are just trying to find a place to rent. I'm very fortunate that I got a nice little apartment in someone's house, but I'm not really that fortunate on that. Part of it will be dependent on the developer, Kearney, getting his incentives from the state housing, okay? And his incentives will come in the form of in the form of income tax bonding, where investors will invest in because there's benefit to him, but that's the end of it from there on out. No continuing payments or subsidies for social services or anything along that. We can't guarantee he'll get it. We think we're about 99.9% certain he will. He's a highly favored contractor with the state on this. Unlike what happened in Carroll, if you remember a few years ago here, when they tried to do that development and it blew everything up. That developer, I don't know whether it's wise or unwise, but he had decided that to enhance his application for workforce housing, you enhance your application by picking up, basically by putting in some apartments for the ugly stepchild. So you could say, in his case, he'd say, well, I'll do drug users. Now, that was, should have known, that was a lightning rod. In this guy's case, doing senior housing, and then we're going to dedicate a certain number of the units for veterans, okay? That's where he'll get his extra points by by targeting an underserved population. And I can tell you that we've been very impressed with him. I know Henry, both you guys, Henry Howell sat down with him. We did a ton of due diligence on this fella and his other part. We were really impressed by the fact that he doesn't sell off any of his projects. He develops them and then he manages them. He has on-site management on the property. He puts an apartment for an on-site manager on. He has a daytime on-site manager that at nighttime,
There's somebody on call 24 hours.
There's someone who lives right there. They give him an apartment in their own building, sort of set aside. He does an extremely rigid due diligence on who he rents to. There's a whole process you have to go through, and part of it includes him showing up at your door unexpectedly where you live now. And he opened the door, and it's a shithole. There was a rental application. So he's and then recently he's been using Facebook, which is pretty smart. He goes on there and sees people having wild parties, like, he didn't qualify. And so we've been very impressed with him, and we took a long time. This has been going on probably about 5 years. We've been trying to find the right developer that we felt wouldn't come back and give us a black eye, both either us or the community, and would have good management with it, somebody who would understand the style. And he is, to date, initially he came in and had big buildings. We were like, let's get these buildings in break. He had 12 units in a building. How about we do them in 2 6s in each building? So we made him double his building numbers. And I give him a lot of credit. We sat there and, we said, well, like code, you need like 20, 30 feet. He's like, you know what, I think it'll look better if I space them out farther. So that's the mentality we're dealing with here. He likes to do pretty high-end stuff. And again, it'll all get vetted. There'll be site plan, detailed site plan we'll have to go through, the secret document. We'll go into detail about the school impacts, like that. But we're not talking anywhere near the number of units, say, that, we're talking maybe 50 units compared to 285 UMH. So the degree of scale here is pretty much slightly different.
Do you have water, sewer, gas back there?
Water and sewer, gas is not that close. The closest place that gas is, and we'll have to bring it to the site, the closest place that gas is a quality work-life building over at the prison on 9. Yeah. The gas line is stuck there. I don't remember why. For some reason they brought it up there, and then it goes across Slag's Field and up Kings Road. And so likely we will have to pay, Central Housing pays for nothing. we'll have to pay to take it up to 9W and then run it up 9W to the site. Water and sewer, don't forget, were all run and stubbed south of Martin's trailer park at the time that Fernley was gonna come here in 86 or 80, no, it was a little later than that.
Because you still got quite a long run to get back.
We got, yeah, we
How do you
definitely.
get the gas line under the creek?
Well, it was, directional bore. Gas line's not bad, because gas, you don't have to worry about gravity or anything, so gas line, you can directional bore it real nice. When you start directional boring sewer and water, well, water's pretty easy, the sewer's an issue, obviously, because then you gotta pump it. But again, none of the design work has been done at this point in time. The seeker will be the very first start, what'll be the build out of the site. We have been trying to, get the gentleman, that's the fee that has been neglected for a very long time. When you first go up 9 and make the corner across Arc, mainly on a pricing issue, we'd like to, so we could address it and plan it out right. But my sense is, and this is not official, my sense is right now is that we probably will, and just can't let it drag it out any further. Crazy property either.
So that property is south of.
Correct. And
And
unfortunately,
that same guy that he wanted to develop a lake across the street, so.
the house is Bearer Road, right?
By the thruway.
Yeah, right,
Around
back, yeah.
to the bank of the thruway.
Yeah, there was a thing, that guy owns all that property over
Yeah,
there?
he came down here one night.
Yeah,
Came down here one night, wanted to thing with it.
yeah, and he was concerned about history, important that is, and the historical stamp he had, you know. Yeah.
Yeah, well, unfortunately, those fields, by not being used, you know, the property has deteriorated substantially.
We turn it back into wetland, it's pretty crazy.
Well, there's a lot of wetlands in there, and that, you know, and there's a lot of stuff we would avoid, as you know, we try to avoid as many as we can. When we don't, we do over-the-top mitigation. There's only certain, you know, miracles only go so far.
Okay.
That property is typical of a lot of them around here where you don't take care of them, you know, with the top.
And it all flows into the Coxsackie Creek.
Yeah, this site, we don't see really, I mean, quite frankly, we have a lot less issues, both from a wetland standpoint, we have, again, we haven't done, you know, specific designs or layout. When the seeker comes out, there will probably be any potential development alternatives that we'll look at. And again, what we'll try to do, establish, here's the maximum amount of impervious. So if we get over that amount of impervious, the seeker was out of the way, and I just want to remind you of the intensive review at the site plan. Just kind of qualify the seeker, quite honestly, and get that out of the way. At the end of the day, what happens around this table is really where we get down to the meat and potatoes. But we'll at least have, you know, I'm well aware of the zoning, you know, we'll accommodate, I don't see anything we need any more, or where we would be, at least at this point, where we have any issues there. But we'd like to tell you exactly what it would be, but we don't know ourselves.
That's all that question for him.
Yeah, any other questions on the,
What's your,
well, the goal would be, we've already pulled the trigger on getting seeker done, so that's moving through the process right now, and I think we've already declared lead agency. Developer, he wants to be able to break ground probably as early as he can next spring. Summer, going into the fall, we're done with seeker, and we're now sitting down working through the site plan for the first one. And again, I know it's a pain in the neck, but we'll be down here doing our Ginzu night subdivision stuff, you know, like we do with the other business parks. But this really works ideal, and you got a big piece, we know what the rules are, we know what the setbacks are.
Still on, did you split off yet?
No, you know, back, it's just sort of, we were kind of waiting for Eric Schultz, we didn't want to run Eric out immediately, so we gave Eric like 6 to get his belongings and his things out of there so we could sell it. Right now, again, we're not going storm up to him, but I've got to make a friendly call this week to him to remind him, and, honestly, it's just a liability for us up there now.
This property is 9W and.
It'll have to have access from 9W possibly, again, depending on the big picture finally works out. It kind of would come on that I would tell you that like emergency access off of Bronx, okay, limited access, none of the commercial access or nothing to the main entrance right now, you know, in 9W. Especially you get to this development.
And that's just south of Lawrence,
Correct. You know, quite frankly, the housing is viable. You know, in this economy, we could very well get a shovel ready and sit on it for, I hope not, but we could end up sitting on it for, until the right kind of client came along that we'd wanna, and meet the rumor on the street, we actually do probably turn down more offers to buy our land than we take up, because we get certain people who are just not interested in Kevin, or, we haven't gotten that this week, but we can get there. So, same thing, we're moving along in the seeker, with the scoping document, that was already distributed to everybody. comments, likewise on